All right, everybody, welcome to Disclosure TV. I've tried about 3 times to stream to live YouTube live, and it won't let me. We have some breaking news out of the White House. That is some really breaking news, and it's really important. It would seem that tomorrow night, Tuesday at 9 p.m., Trump will issue an emergency statement from the Oval Office, and what is likely to be said and what is likely to come out of that statement is that Trump will be issuing a national emergency as of tomorrow night. The evidence points that way. Otherwise, if he wasn't going to implement a national emergency, he wouldn't be going on national TV and request that every single news channel air it. So, a lot of people were worried about the government issuing a national emergency in a time where there is no national emergency. And the reason that people were worried is because that gives certain powers to the U.S. government that they wouldn't have if it wasn't a national emergency. So, what worries people is that during a national emergency, the government has the authority to issue martial law, and it has the authority to take away weapons. It has the authority to do basically whatever it wants during a national emergency. The law does describe what constitutes as a national emergency, but in the wording of the law, in the text of the article, it states that it could be for other purposes. And basically, it leaves what constitutes as a national emergency up to the government. So a lot of people are worried about that, and it does matter where the announcement is being made from, and it's being made from the Oval Office. When a president makes a statement from the Oval Office, it bears the weight of the White House and the full support of the government and or his office. And that pretty much means that whenever a president does that, makes a statement from the Oval Office, it pretty much means that something bad is getting ready to happen. Any statement that has come from the Oval Office hasn't been very good. George Bush, the last time it was done was Obama did it. I don't think he did it from the Oval Office, but he made a statement on immigration on national television. However, the last time an Oval Office statement was made was during the time that Bush II declared war on Afghanistan and Iraq. And prior to that, Bush 1 did it for the Iraqi War, the Gulf War. Other presidents have done it during war times. And like I said, mainly, none of it, anything that when a president makes a statement from the Oval Office, you can bet it's not going to be good. And when they request that national TV picks it up at 9 p.m., which is usually the time that every president makes a statement, which is also called prime time. That's television's prime time for TV shows and where most people watch. So they're going to do it. He's going to do it at that time, and most presidents do Oval Office statements at those times. At times where most people are watching the television. So they will expect Trump to issue a statement declaring a national emergency tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Should you be worried? Of course you should be worried, because there's basically the government can do what they want at that time. Uh, the police departments can do what they want at that time. Actually, the military will control the police departments at that time. So, over the last few months, you've been seeing troop movement, troops coming back to the United States. You've seen troops being deployed all over the United States. Uh, Operation Hot Musket is part of that, part of a domestic deployment operation within the United States. FEMA has put mobile command centers all over the United States. There's a long list of things that's happened and that still needs to happen and is going on, that basically says that the government is getting ready to take over the people. And a lot of people are wondering why. Why is the government taking over the people? Because they have to issue not NATO, but the United Nations implemented an agenda for Agenda 21, which is a one world government and a one world currency. And they believe that that's the best route to take. And a lot of people don't understand what that means. Under the article under Agenda 21 states that basically the countries are going to depopulate the world. Deagle.com says that by 2020, by 2025 or 2021, that the population of the United States is going to drop down below 100 million people. 99 million people, 60 million, I think it was somewhere around 69 million people. And a lot of other countries, the GDP is going to go down for the United States. Other countries like Russia, their GDP will go up. And it points towards another country taking over being a superpower. India's goes up, China's goes up, Russia goes up. So, and basically, it's going to end up being where the United States is going to be could be a second world country. It also states that, I say a lot, it states that the government is going to take over land. It's going to do a huge land grab. It's going to move the population of suburban areas into the cities, into government housing, giving them a certain amount of money to live on. That's what North Korea is doing currently. North Korea gives them a stipend, I guess, a stipend, whatever you want to call it. They give them a certain amount of food ration. They give them a certain amount of money per month, free medical care, and if you haven't noticed, we have free medical care now, and that's not going to end, because that's part of an agenda that that the powers that be have, and it's not the government per se; it's the people behind the government, such as the people who control the Fed. The private bankers, there's only 4 families in the world. If you look it up, I mean, you don't even have to look it up. Send out a Freedom of Information Act request and ask who the major shareholders and or who the owners are of the Federal Reserve and the 12 reserve banks. They will tell you that information is classified. As a matter of fact, I'll do it myself. I haven't done it yet. There's several documents online that show that, and as a matter of fact, I'd like to do it myself, and I'll get back with you on that. But like I said, all of this has to do with the government trying to take over the United States people, and as you know, the laws are so strict right now that it's not even funny. If you honestly think you're free, then you're confusing freedom with money, because right now you have to buy freedom. You have to buy everything that you are free to do. One guy at one point in time told me that he was able to walk around in the backyard naked, and that's freedom. And I told him that that's not true at all. In order to have that freedom, he had to purchase the home he's walking around in the backyard of. Not to mention that even if you rent a place, it's going to cost you money to do that. So either way, the only freedom you have is the freedom to spend money, and then that money then buys you freedom to do whatever you want to do in your home. So if you think you're free, that's ridiculous. Not to mention that a national emergency is going to strip whatever rights you have away from you, and it's going to strip whatever rights away from anybody who enters the country. You don't have any rights. Nobody has any rights. Your civil rights are gone. Any civil disobedience that comes out of a time during a national emergency, you don't go to jail. The police do not bother with that. That is military. During a national emergency, the National Guard is the police. Now, when it comes down to a national emergency and the military takes over as the policing agency, everybody's like, well, they can't deploy the army on domestic soil. Well, how they were able to get away with that is that the same people who are in the army are also active duty National Guard. You can sign up and be part of both. And that's how they got around that. So, yes, the military can be deployed on domestic soil. A lot of people won't tell you that, and a lot of people don't know that. I've met myself several people who are active military and who are active National Guard. The reservists, if you will, military and reservists. So, 9 p.m. tomorrow night on every channel, expect President Trump to declare a national emergency. I'm unaware on how far this national emergency is going to go. A lot of people say that the national emergency that Bush 2 started during 9/11 has not yet been revoked. So we're technically still under a national emergency. I'm not aware of if the government has to document the end of a national emergency. I'm not aware of any of that. So, like I said, as I said here, I knew it was coming. Everybody's told you it was coming. There was going to be a national emergency, and there shouldn't be a national emergency for a bunch of people throwing rocks at the border. A lot of people state that he's issuing a national emergency because he's trying to get funding for the border. The government is the government. They can get money anywhere. They don't have to issue a national emergency to get money. That's just the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Whenever you issue a national emergency, it's during a time of crisis. Having money for a border wall is not a time of crisis, because it will still take years and years and years and years to build that. So it probably won't even be built by the time Trump ends his term. It probably won't be built at all, even if he does get the money to fund it. More than likely, it's going to take at least 10 plus years to build this wall, and there's going to be a new president before that happens. And they know this. I mean, the government knows this. So why would you even mess with a national emergency to do it? And that's exactly my point. It could be that the government is testing the waters on a national emergency and to see how the people take it and will react to it. Because a lot of people don't know what comes with a national emergency, and you do need to know. You do need to know that your laws, that your rights as a citizen are revoked. You have no rights during a national emergency. The military takes over during a national emergency. Martial law can be implemented during a national emergency. The government is allowed to do whatever they want during a national emergency. FEMA gets deployed. The military gets deployed. They're already deployed, and the government admitted that there is military already being deployed. So do not take what the government is saying with a grain of salt. Don't take it that way, because something bad is going to come out of this, and it's going to get worse. So everybody needs to get ready for what the government is getting ready to do. You need to be prepared. You need to have food, supplies, something to trade with, something to barter with. Money's not going to be any good. You need to get your supplies ready. You need to get canned food ready. Canned food lasts for years and years and years. You don't need to go out and get a bunch of MREs and spend a crap ton of money on that. I guess spend a crap ton of money, but spend a crap ton of money wisely. You don't need to pay $70 for an MRE. Selling MREs is illegal in the first place. Now, if a company, there's only one company in the United States that's authorized to sell MREs or government MREs. There's only one company, and it's illegal to buy those. The government does sell them. As a matter of fact, the government just sold a bunch from Puerto Rico. They auctioned off something like 120 something thousand meals, or I think somebody bought them for like $5,000 or something like that. Yeah. And an MRE lasts forever. They're good forever, and why they have an expiration date on them, I have no idea. An MRE can be canned food. Don't have to go buy specialized food in order to survive. Don't. So don't think you do. Canned food does just as good. Dried food is just as good. That's what an MRE is. You mix water with the food. So don't think you have to go out and get on Amazon or break the law in order to get ready for bad things that's about ready to happen. You don't have to do that. Just use a little common sense. When the government starts harassing people and telling them that they have to do this and that and this and that during a national emergency, your best bet is just to get out of town. Get out of town, go somewhere else. That's what you need to do. Don't stick around the cities, because that's the first place everybody goes to. Grab enough food to last you about 2 weeks. Head out to the country somewhere, and that's what you need to do. After about 2 weeks and you need more food, start hunting for food. I would suggest you take your weapons with you. And this is all getting ready. And this is preparedness. I'm telling you to prepare. I'm not telling you to go out and do this right this second. So don't think I am. I'm telling you to prepare when it comes time for it. You need to be prepared to do all of these things. I was raised in the country. I'm a country boy. You can hear it in my voice. I've raised uh, beans and tomatoes and potatoes all my life. I know how to hunt. I know how to survive. I don't need any technology whatsoever to live. However, it does get a little boring. But people done it for thousands of years. They didn't need technology to live. I'm going to say they got in a lot of trouble. You can only do so much without getting bored. So, like I said, Trump's going to make a statement from the Oval Office at 9 p.m. Tuesday, and I'm telling you now, he's going to tell you he's going to issue a national emergency. That's what he's doing. That's what he's going to do. And during that, like I said, during that time, it's going to be, he could do anything he wants. So be prepared when that time comes. Be prepared for whatever he's going to do during that time. If he starts spouting off military coordination, if he starts spouting off FEMA is going to do this and that, if he starts spouting off anything that doesn't make sense, which it doesn't make sense now to have a national emergency because we're not under attack. And to me, if every citizen's life is in danger, then yes, that is a time to issue a national emergency. But they're not doing it. Every person's life is not in danger currently. So, like I said, breaking news for Trump. He's about ready to issue a national emergency for the Oval Office, 9 p.m. Tuesday, which is 1/8/2019. And everybody, stay safe. Stay safe. That's all I can tell you. Prepared for whatever they're going to say, whatever they're going to do, whatever actions they're going to take. Pay close attention. And as always, use common sense. A lot of people do not have common sense these days. And that is the fault of the government in the first place. During my days, we had home economics in school. We had metal class. We built things. We made knives. We built wagons. We took care of farm animals. And I had already been doing that stuff by the time I was in high school because I lived on a farm. So all that stuff was easy. And now, where I live, they have taken all that stuff out and claim that nobody needed any of that stuff anymore, and that education was more important than learning how to cook or learning how to change a diaper or learning how to sew, which is what I learned to do when I was in high school. Middle school, as a matter of fact, I started in middle school learning how to sew and cook and all that. So, use common sense, people. That's all I can tell you to do, is use common sense. You don't have to hate everybody, but you need to watch yourself. You need to watch yourself. Don't trust people as far as you can throw them. Give them the benefit of the doubt, but give them about that much benefit of the doubt. Because when times get hard, people go against each other. And a lot of your survivalists and a lot of your preparedness people on YouTube tell you that you need to get with a group of people and stick with them. Sometimes that's not even good. during when you're around a group of people, somebody's going to feel like they need to be in charge, and that's difficult. That just makes for problems, especially when you have weapons around. So make sure that you're around people who you really want to stay around for a long period of time. People who have your back no matter what. Even family turns your back on will turn their back on you when it comes to surviving. Just like you could, as an example, when when a person's drowning and you go out to save them and they don't know how to swim, they're going to do everything in their power to pull you under with them, not on purpose. It's not on purpose. It's just survival. So use that with what's going to happen during a national emergency or during martial law and all that. Use that. Understand that people are going to pull you down with them in order for them to survive. So use common sense. My YouTube channel everything I say is based on common sense. Common sense is a very simplistic view. It's very simple. And the reason I use that view is because the government uses that. And not only that, but the government, you can tell when the government's doing something they're not supposed to be doing. Don't listen to the crap on TV all the time. Take that crap with a grain of salt, because more than likely the government's going to lie to you. Why? They don't have classified programs and classified organizations, and the people who work for them don't exist. There's a reason. If that doesn't tell you that they'll lie to you, that's just an obvious slap in the face that you know that they're going to lie to you. That's just obvious. If you think the government's going to come out on the media and say, yes, we've been lying to you, you're crazy. But not only that, the government only lets out what it lets out on purpose. These investigative journalists, CNN, Fox News, all that, they think they got a good beat on things. They really don't. They really don't have a good beat on things. Sometimes people slip up and let information through. The government slips up and lets information through that shouldn't get through. And that's where people like me come in and say, hey, that's wrong. Or something's going on. The government hides things right in front of you because they know you're not looking there. They know you're looking behind a bush for information. They know you're looking for things over in the corner. They know you're not. They're not. They know that you're not hiding. They know that you're not going to look for something right in the middle of the room. So make sure you use common sense. It gets on my nerves a lot when people don't use common sense. It bothers the crap out of me. Most people my age, I'm 36 years old, I don't get along with most people my age because they're millennials and they don't have a clue on how to survive or what they're doing. They're not like me. I was born right at the start of the millennial age. However, I was raised in a different way. I was raised by older people. So I'm saying all this to let you know that Trump is going to declare a national emergency, what that means, how to use it, and to make sure you're safe. Make sure you use common sense with all this. Make sure you listen for the things that just don't sound right. And if they don't sound right, then question them. So everybody, this is Disclosure TV, and everybody stay safe. Peace out.